Now we have a newly built system, so let's log in and have a look around. So this is the default view we'll see when we first log in, but what I'm actually going to do here is just up the zoom. I'm going to zoom in just so that everything's a little bit bigger for you to look at. And so a couple of things to notice immediately. It's a new interface. If you're used to working with the Zone Director with code 9.12, you'll see this is completely different. If you're used to working with, for example, the Smart Zone, or you've had a look at the Smart Zone running code 3.5, you'll see it's a little bit similar. So up on the top right hand side, what do we have? Well, we have the system time and date. We have the logged in user here, so this is the admin account that I've logged in with. This is a very useful thing here. If we click help, it'll actually take us to the Ruckus website where we have documents and the online help system. So this is very, very useful, and I do recommend that you get used to looking into here if you'd like to know a little bit more information or you need some help with anything that you're configuring on the Zone Director. You'll find common answers and common procedures here. A lot of this we will be covering in this course. So back to the main window, and this is the dashboard. On the left hand side we can see this is the dashboard because it's highlighted. We can also see some other menu items which we'll look at in a second, but before we do, we can also see here the system name, the uptime, and the version of code that we are running. Now let's go back to this. This is the dashboard. We can actually move and hide the menu items on the left hand side to give us a little bit more space on the dashboard. And the first thing we notice is the map. Now the map isn't really showing us anything right now because we don't have any access points connected, but as soon as we do have some access points and we've configured them correctly, we will be able to see them on the map, and we'll have a look at that in a later module too. If we scroll down, the first thing that we'll see is traffic analysis, and once we start to put some traffic through the Zone Director, we'll get some information there. We can view traffic over the last 24 hours, over the last hour. We can select whether we just want to look at receive, transmit, or both, and we can also look at access point groups, and we will look at how to create and move access points into groups in a later module again, so we can actually just look at specific areas within our network. We can decide whether we want to use bytes and so on, and we can here look at client information. Again, we'll look at this a little bit deeper later on. We don't have any clients connected now, so there's no information. We've got no WLANs, and we can again select which APs, but it's pointless at this juncture because we don't have any access points connected. So once we start to work with the Zone Director, we would expect a lot of these to start to fill with information. This is information that we can see and that hopefully we'll find useful. We should be able to collapse some of that information down there, and that brings us back to our main window. So the dashboard really is your main jumping in point where you can get sort of one view over everything that's going on within the system, and so we'll consistently come back to the dashboard and check things out as we move ahead. The next item down on the left hand side where we've got these menu buttons is monitor, and here is where we can go in and see all sorts of events. We can view the access points, the clients, the WLANs, and all sorts of other stuff, so we'll look at that later. Here is the configuration, and what we do need to do before we join any access points and put up any WLANs is to think of the admin tasks. We want to make sure the system is nice and secure. We want to take care of admin business before we do anything else. So in the next section we'll talk about some of that, and finally we get to look at the administer side of things, and again we'll talk about some configuration settings that we'd really want to have a look at here before we do anything else, and we'll look at that in the next section as well. Okay, so that was just a quick tour around the new GUI, the introduction to the dashboard, and having a look at the menu items. So in the next section we'll go into that in a little bit more detail.